Hey guys, what's up? What's going on? Guys and gals, that is. I appreciate the new female followers. And we have three knives that I'm going to be talking about today. They say ZT on a couple of the zipper pouches. This one says Kershaw Ken Onion USA. Kershaw is the knife we're going to be talking about. The others are just containers for, for my knives. We'll get right in this and start unzipping all three so we can hurry things along. First off, this knife is primarily the knife that we will be talking about. Here's a shirt plug, by the way, just a cheap plug, I'm sorry. This knife is the Kershaw Speed Bump. They call it the Speed Bump. This knife, nothing special as far as this knife goes. It's a fairly inexpensive knife, actually about, I think $45. You can find it cheaper maybe in some places if you look carefully, hard enough, and in other places you can buy it at a more expensive price too. This knife is the 8CR13 MOV steel knife and has a date on it right here. Showing, well, it's not a date, a stamp rather, showing China 8CR13 MOV. I love the style and design of this recurve. It's a sweet blade, probably impossible to sharpen, not literally, but figuratively hard to sharpen knife. Anyway, I love the lock on this. That's really sweet. That's why I began collecting these knives when I started out about 2.5 years ago. And I'll have to say that I've never cut anything with these three knives. I've just collected them and kept them pristine. And they are in pristine order, very mint condition. This knife, like I said, nothing special. It's just part of the bunch. I priced this knife this morning, or at least one like it, on eBay. I could not believe it. They were asking $499. And that's the thing with eBay. You can pretty much ask what you want price-wise. But not necessarily will you get that price. You can ask anything. I'm going to sell it for $5,000, folks. And that's a deal, because my friend sold it to me for $4,000. And that's about the way it happens, I think. What's so special about this knife that's not so special about the other knife that I just showed you? They look similar, very similar. What's the difference? This one is called the Spec Bump, S-P-E-C, and this is Speed, S-P-E-D, Speed Bump, Spec Bump. I don't know why they decided to do that. But this one is made with G10 handles, 8CR13 MOV steel. And this one, and they are glistening a little bit because I do keep them coated with Tough Glide. That's what I use. Frog Lube makes a great protectant, by the way. We'll touch on that in just a little bit. In the meantime, as I was saying, what makes this one so special? What's the difference between this one and the other? This one has CPM 154 steel. Also, speaking of which, the one I priced this morning on eBay for $499, that one had S30V steel, so you have to keep that in mind. I would assume this one might bring a few dollars less than that. This one is dated November of '05. The one that's selling on eBay for $499 has a date of '07. So this one is actually 2 years younger, or shall we say older. And it's the 1596, that's the model of this particular Kershaw. Kershaw 1596 Spec Bump is what it's called. It has the diamond-like DLC coating, of course. This particular edge is very sharp. It has the factory edge that came with it. It's never cut, as far as I know, anything, because I'm the one that got it, and I've never used it to cut anything. I've not even tested this one on paper. This was more or less a knife that I bought to save as a safe queen. And that's the condition that you'll find it. Mint condition, nothing messed up, or no wear marks or flaws or scratches. This is made in the USA. That's a difference as well. Speaking of this knife in comparison to this one. This one made in China, this one made in the USA. Why is that? I'm not sure. Or at least that's where the steel blade came from. We will talk a little bit now about, before going on the last knife, we'll talk a little bit about what I mentioned earlier, about protectant. What do you guys use for protectant for your knives? You know, if you have a lot of knives here in the South where I live in Kentucky, you have to store those knives with some type of coating, or you will wake up one day and find that your knives have rust spots. I've had this happen to me, and that's why I know. That's how I know. Because we live in a very humid and moist climate. Here in Kentucky where I live, the humidity levels go crazy, up to 100%, nearly, I would say, the majority of summer. And when you comprise that on top of, or compile that on top of, say, 105 degree temperatures with 100 degree humidity, it makes it feel more like you're in 120 degrees or so. So it is hazardous for your knife collection. I've learned that the hard way, so therefore you will see all of my blades coated, and I apologize if they don't look behooving to you guys out there wanting to watch the videos and see my cool knives if you think they're cool. But I will wipe down what I can. There you go. This one now has been wiped clean, so no more Tough Glide on it. But I really like the DLC coating, except when you use it. You take this knife and you start using it, you're going to start seeing cuts and tears on the DLC and little scratches, and I really don't like that. Well, I won't be using this knife for cutting anyway. I don't think that I would get $499 out of this knife. And if you guys want to make that offer, you call me up and you will have this knife. I might even throw in this one over here. Why won't you throw in the other one? That's what you're saying right now. Why wouldn't you throw in that one for $499? What's so special about that one? I know I've been postponing it, putting it off. So you're jonesing, right? Just like a drug addict. Well, this is why. This particular one has a couple of little ding marks there and right there. And you know what? How I did that? And it shames me. When I first began collecting, didn't have a clue. I didn't carry this knife or pack it. But I put it in a knife roll. And the knife roll did not have individual pockets. It just had little rubber band type straps. And this one had one rubber band type strap across it, and the ones next to it the same thing. But when you roll them up inside the knife roll, they clang back and forth. And that's what happened to this knife. It got clanged inside the knife roll, and it turned it to a mess up job. It pissed me off. But this knife has a March of '07 date on it. It's a very sweet knife as well. As far as the steel listing, I have researched, and this particular model, the one that's made with aluminum handles, which, by the way, I challenge you to try and find this knife today. Look it up. You will find it difficult to locate a knife like this with aluminum handles. So that's what makes it so special. Back to what I was saying, this particular knife has, according to what I've researched and found, it has Sandvik steel on it. So it's a good quality steel, and a very expensive knife as well. And this is what I do when I coat these knives. I hit the center pivot area on either side, and then I work it back and forth to get that inside the pivot area. You know, that's just as good as taking this knife apart, removing all the screws, taking it apart, cleaning everything, and spraying it. It's just as good if you coat that pivot area like I just did. Even on your regular knives, if you're not going to coat the blade and store it, put it up, whatever. What makes that a lot easier than taking it apart is the fact that it does go inside and hit the right needed area that you want it to inside the pivot area, whether it's washers, you know, whatever the case may be, ball bearings, or phosphor bronze washers. So anyway, after I spray the center of that, the pivot area, then I hit a small amount of spray on each side. And yes, that is a Frog Lube bottle, but it has Tough Glide inside. I like the little spray container for this size. It squirts out the perfect amount for what I want when I store the knives. And then I put it up. This one is going to have some more because I inadvertently wiped it off. I forgot almost. So there. I coat it like this and make sure that the cutting edge has a coat as well as the top of the spine. And pull it out a little bit and make sure that it gets a little on inside the marks where the area goes into the bolster area, and that way it's covered completely. Nothing to worry about? I don't know, maybe so, maybe not, but I don't want to find out, you know. Anyway, that's it for now. I appreciate you guys watching. Today's video's on the Kershaw Spec bump and the Speed bump. What do you think? Feel free to make comments, leave them below, and it's definitely appreciated. If you don't mind, I would love for you guys to subscribe if you haven't already. I will sub back to you, I promise you that. If not, you tag me and say, hey brother, I thought you were going to subscribe. And if I haven't subscribed by then, I guarantee it's because I overlooked it accidentally. Thanks for watching again. Keep your knives sharp. If you can't keep them sharp, then send them to me and I'll do it for you. mirrorededges@yahoo.com. Thanks for watching. Peace.